Hi, welcome to my channel. So today I'll be talking about my birthing story, what to pack and all the bits and bobs that comes with it. Keep watching. Now, number one tip, join the mummy groups. They've really helped me out. I've done lots of research, but mummy groups is where all the answers are. I've seen lots of people talk about don't overpack. You might end up only staying there a couple of hours after birth. In my case, I stayed an extra 3 days and I felt much better knowing that I've got everything there with me. I'm not going to list everything that you would usually see. I'm just going to tell you the important things that I found useful. Of course, all the clothing, I'm not going to talk about it. It's an obvious subject. Just pack, small and bigger bits. I will talk, however, about the things that personally I found very helpful. So number one, if you are breastfeeding and it's your first time breastfeeding journey, I would strongly recommend getting all the little bits and bobs that you see people talk about. So I would strongly recommend nipple cream. Now, as a first time mum, I had no clue in how much agony I'm going to be from breastfeeding. That nipple cream absolutely saved me. I've also seen people talk about nipple shields. I've not personally tried it myself, but apparently it's a godsend, so probably stock on that as well. Get all the peri bottles, all these spritz for bits ready. I didn't end up using it because I had an emergency C-section, but it's good to prepare, especially if you're staying in hospital. You want to be comfortable going to toilet. I did bring some pads, them panty liners, I don't know, whatever you call them, but they were just so much hassle to put on. At the time you're not thinking, so wearing those adult nappies has saved me. I just popped one on, bled onto it and didn't care about it. Now, quite a few things, stuff like puppy pads will be provided to you by the hospital, so I was worried about, leaking onto their beds, but no, don't worry, such things will be provided and regularly changed. Bring lots of snacks because hospital food is, I'm grateful, I'm sure not many hospitals outside of UK would provide meals, but bring some snacks, even you might not even actually feel like munching them, but it's nice to know that you've got the snacks there. I've given birth on 30th of July. You can imagine how hot it was, so a godsend was a fan. I had a little mini handheld fan that you were able to put on a table and it would blow me. I literally had it on all night. Now, most hospitals actually do have a fan, but I feel like mine was a bit noisy, so I just had the handheld and it was lovely. Do not forget your phone charger. Of course, all the showering stuff, bring like a nice dressing gown just so it's easy for you to pop on. Don't wear anything uncomfortable, nobody's going to look at you, just wear comfy clothes. In my case, I just wore pajamas and slippers. I wore slippers all the time, just easy slip on, amazing. Of course, there's lots of other things I've packed, but these are the main things that have saved me. If you're planning to use caesarean, I would strongly recommend Vaseline. Your lips are going to go so dry, you would want to put some Vaseline. Another thing, some face cream. I've definitely benefited from putting some face cream. I felt so dry. It was nice to have a bit of moisture. I did bring lots of water bottles with me, and I'm glad I did, because even though they do provide you with water, you feel bad constantly asking them to bring you a jug of water. So it's nice to have your own water on the side as well. Now let's talk about birthing plan. Now, 19% of women end up having emergency caesareans. And you can imagine how many more women their birthing plan doesn't end up going to plan. Now, I'm one of those people that my plan was completely out the window. I didn't have a specific, like a printout. You can get a printout and write it down what you want. I didn't have that, but I had something in my mind that I would like, the way I would like things to go. Didn't go to plan at all, but I would strongly recommend to still do your research, because when I was out of it and they're asking me, does my child want vitamin K injection, I was completely out of it. I'm glad I've done my research. I was like, yes. That's pretty much how it was. Now, if you've not done that research and you're out of it and you're not able to make that decision for yourself, at least let your partner know what you would like for your child to be done. So don't stress about it. Things might not go to plan, but do your research. Now let's get into the actual birthing process. I'll make it as short as possible. It did start over a period of 5 days, but I'll make it quick. So I've given birth on 30th of July. Now 5 days prior to that, I started experiencing Braxton Hicks. Now, someone who's a first-time pregnancy had no clue what Braxton Hicks were. I just felt some sort of pressure and pain in my lower back. Now, a lot of women experience Braxton Hicks weeks before they give birth, but something in my head was telling me that my body is getting ready, like now. Now, the same day I had a midwife appointment, I did mention it to her. She didn't seem too fussed, too phased, thinking I'll be giving birth. Because as I've mentioned, lots of other women do get Braxton Hicks way before. But something in my mind was telling me, I'm getting ready. She is coming. I was over the moon. I was so excited. I've been pregnant feels like forever. So to me, it was like I was almost pushing myself that I want to give birth soon. Even though she was a bit early still, I was only 38 weeks and 1-2 days. So I still had time, but I was way too excited and I just wanted her to come already. So that was 25th of July, I started getting Braxton Hicks. 26th of July, the next day, I've lost a bit of mucus plug. Now it was the smallest amount, so I didn't really think of it much. I thought it was just a bit of discharge. A bit of TMI, but you got yourself into this video. I had a bit of discharge, way more than usual, so that's why I started thinking a bit, what's happening? Is my body getting ready? And it was. Now again, I didn't pay too much attention to it, but I kind of kept it back on my mind that something could be happening. Now 27th of July, so that was 25th July, 26th mucus plug, 27th of July, I had to go drop off my boyfriend into London. We live just outside of London, so it took about an hour and a half drive. Now in the morning, I drove him there and then I came back. While I was waiting for him, because I was meant to go pick him up as well, while I was waiting for him, I went to toilet and more mucus plug came out. Now then I was like, okay, something's definitely happening, but I didn't message him yet. Then I went to lay down, and then all of a sudden I felt a bit of water. I thought, oh my god, did I just pee myself without knowing? Because that has never happened before. I did pee myself a bit during the pregnancy, but it was only when I sneezed. Now I went to get up to get changed, but as I got up and put a bit of pressure on my stomach getting up, even more came out. I knew immediately that was my water breaking. Now, many women experience different, so some end up gushing out, mine trickled a little bit, and then some don't end up breaking the water at all. Now for the rest of the day, my water just kept trickling. Now I messaged my boyfriend immediately. He quickly finished his work and he came down by cab just in case. We went over to triage, so if you are in UK, you can pop over to triage the moment your water breaks. If your water breaks, you can take your time. They usually say you can take a couple of hours, slowly get ready and then come down to get checked if the water is clear. If the water is bloody, then they tell you to go in immediately. So I waited for my boyfriend to get back and we slowly made our way there. So I did drive there because my boyfriend doesn't drive, and because I knew more likely we'll be coming back, we're just going there to get checked. So we went over to triage. They've checked me. They said I'm not dilating yet, meaning I'm not open down there, and they sent me home. But they did say that within 24 hours I need to be in labour, just because when your water breaks there's risk of infection if the labour goes on for too long. So once we got home, my contractions started. It was pretty much like Braxton Hicks. They were a bit more painful and a little bit more frequent. So 28th of July, my water breaks, I go to triage, they send me home, and my contractions started. So that was about, we were sent home, I was home about 4 p.m. By 6 p.m. I definitely knew my contractions started, and they were lasting for another 4 hours. And then at 10 p.m. I was like, okay, this is kind of painful, let's go to triage again. We went to triage, they've checked me, nothing was happening, they sent me home. Now I had this fear that I might give birth at home. Because of that, I was like, I need to get into hospital, I don't want to give birth at home. Now 10 p.m. we got sent home. I went through contractions all night. I kept waking up because obviously they were getting more and more painful. It got to 10 a.m. I was like, okay, let's pack our stuff. I mean, the stuff was packed, but let's get our stuff and let's go into hospital. I got to 10 a.m. Got to hospital to triage again. They've checked me and they said there's still nothing. Now, because they have mentioned that I've got 24 hours to start labouring because of due to infection, because my waters broke 24 hours before that, they said, okay, we're gonna keep you in hospital and just keep checking me. Now from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. I was in this room with like 4 or 5 other people. We did have obviously the curtains to separate us, but I was the only one in labour there, which was super annoying because I was the only one making noise, you know, and it was getting worse and worse, and I feel like where your body is starting to get tired, and at that point I was what, 12 hours in labour already. I mean, there was no dilation, so the pain was on the lower side, but it was still there. My body was getting exhausted, and I think when your body's getting exhausted, you're starting to feel the pain more. I was given paracetamol and ibuprofen, but honestly, I feel like it's done nothing. Right, so I was the only one there, and the pain was getting worse and worse, and I was the only one in labour there because I did not hear anyone else. Everybody else was just chilling on their phones, you know, having a laugh with their partners. I was the only one in pain. And it was so annoying because you're trying to hold that pain in, but at the same time, you know, you're there humming and grunting and you just want to release that pain, but you feel awkward. It was annoying. It was honestly annoying. I was there from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. What, 8 hours? 7 hours? No, 8 hours. So I was there with other people for 8 hours trying to get through the pain. And obviously, as you know, with labour, it only gets worse, and my body was just getting more and more tired. Anyway, so got to 6 p.m. They finally had a separate room for me to start my birthing process. That's when things started getting better, thankfully. So once I got moved to the other room, that's when they gave me gas and air. Honestly, God's gift. Oh, such a relief. I mean, the pain doesn't disappear, but you're just so high that you just don't care about it, and you feel like on cloud 9. Honestly, it was an amazing experience. Anyway, so from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. I was on gas and air. Then they gave me epidural at 10 p.m. During that time, they kept checking me. I forgot to say that was 1 centimeter about 2 p.m. and then about 3 centimeters about 6 p.m. And then they checked me again 3 hours later. So when they gave me epidural, they checked me and I was still 3 centimeters. So things weren't progressing. So they gave me epidural and things went a bit weird because I started shaking. My lips went blue. It was a bit scary. So at 10 p.m. they gave me epidural. I had a bit of reaction to it, but I was fine. They kept checking me. They kept checking her heart rate, and they at 12, just before 12 o'clock, they turned around and told me we're going to have to do cesarean, emergency cesarean. Now bear in mind, this was my first child. Was I planning to have emergency cesarean? Absolutely not. Not with my first baby, at least. And I feel like at that moment I felt such a terrible mother, because how's my body failing to give birth? It was scary. It was definitely very scary, because you don't expect it. You know, just like anything, I mean, it's not bad, but just like anything that bad happens, you don't expect it could be you. So at that moment I was, you know, obviously that was doctors and nurses, you know, recommendation. They don't force you into it, but they do tell you, you know, what's the reason that made them think of doing this. So in my case, I wasn't dilating any further for many hours now, and her heart rate was going a bit low. Of course, I said yes. You know, I'm trying to save my daughter's life and my own life. The moment I said yes, things started happening like that. All of a sudden, my bed is being moved to the operating room. You know, everything's happening. Everyone's like talking, shouting around me. It was quite an experience, you know, I'll never forget it. In the operating room, there's like 20 people around you. I'm not gonna lie, I was quite out of it at this point, because I have been at this point, what, like 30 hours labor? So my body was just so exhausted, I was out of it. Yeah, anyway, so that was about 12 midnight that they did C-section. Within 10 minutes, 12 minutes exactly, she was born out of my stomach. Now, one thing that I feel like I missed out is the first moments with her. I'm gonna cry, I don't wanna cry. Because I was in labor for such a long time, I was just completely out of it. And when she came out, of course they showed her to me, but I was just so out of it that I just kept, you know, not passing out, but like going to sleep in a way. I was still shaking from epidural at that point, and my lips were still blue. I also threw up on myself while laying down like 3 times. Obviously, where they were doing caesarean down there, they couldn't move me on the side for me to be sick, so I had to be sick like this. Almost choked on my own sick, which was wonderful. I'll include a picture. It's quite funny the way I'm laying there. They like wrapped me up. My lips are blue. I was not with it. My partner still got to cut the cord, of course not properly, because when they take it out the caesarean, I think they cut it themselves first, and then my partner, you know, cut it, a section of it. For the next 3 hours, 2 hours, I don't know how long I was there, they were sewing me up. I did lose shitloads of blood. I think it's something crazy like 4 litres. I think human body has 5 litres. Yeah, and then they wheeled me into another room, like a recovery room, and then I stayed in hospital for the next 3 days. Now, the recovery after I don't know what's the recovery after normal birth, obviously I've never had it, but recovery after C-section was tough. It was tough for the first week, especially in hospital when you have to look after this baby by yourself in a way. And my partner was there during the days, and obviously you got the midwife, but you feel bad constantly calling your midwife, so I ended up forcing myself to get up constantly to feed her, to change her, and I'm glad I did, because when you force yourself to get out to walk, you feel much better. I'll gladly do another video on the recovery section. I feel like it's a whole new subject. So that's my birthing story. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will gladly answer any comments, questions in the comments. I think us mothers are true heroes, and sometimes we need a bit of help from other people that have experienced this, just so we prepare ourselves for what could be coming. Thank you. Say bye-bye. Look into the camera. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye.